What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about 𝗪𝗧. I want to go over some of the current data points and the multiple reasons why you need to add them to your watch list. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So on Wednesday, it did have a pretty kick-ass day, went up 1.8%, closed at 113. So markets closed today because of Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans out there. In my last drive video, I did indicate that it was ready for a nice breakout because of largely the technicals and the sentiment in the broader market. And lo and behold, that's exactly what did happen. So the market's really focused on rate cuts, and because of the recent labor data, we do have a 84.9% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So people are starting to price that in, that it is going to occur. And of course, as a byproduct of that, you're seeing people's appetite for risk increasing. So even Bitcoin, everything is starting to really move higher. And this is, as well, on a side note, something I did post on my Patreon, saying that historically, going into kind of Thanksgiving weekend, so this upcoming weekend, you usually see Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies really rocketing higher. So I think in general, all the kind of signals were there that the market was going to have a nice recovery, as well as cryptocurrency. But when it comes down to 𝗪𝗧, they have been absolutely suppressed like no other. So over the last 1 month, despite the little bit of a recovery, still down 22.06%. So in general, there was a couple of things that did come out. You have a lot of institutions now, it's kind of very convenient, probably they did buy already, but you do have a lot of institutions raising their long-term targets. So JPM putting out 240,000, you have a lot of others, I think it was Bank of America as well. So in general, a lot of these institutions probably bought the dip, and now they're kind of saying, hey, this is going to go higher. There was an interesting post that was done on here that was by Michael, and it kind of puts in comparison, obviously an estimate, the price of Bitcoin versus what that will potentially mean for the stock, right? So for instance, if Bitcoin's at 92,000, this is kind of generally the range where it will go. And based on where I see Bitcoin post this weekend, it should be back at that 95 at the very bare minimum. So in general, that should put it between that $1.24 to $1.27. But there is a lot of other attributing factors behind this. And so yes, in theory, this could work, but I think just also the stock is very, very suppressed. And a lot of that has to do with shorts. So 31.23% of the free floats is being shorted, versus be 84.96 million shares. So shorts have really done quite a lot of damage to it recently. And so I think as well, that is going to factor into it really going a lot higher than these estimates. Based on my last video, as I mentioned, from here, it was ready for a nice push higher. So it was able to successfully close above that 10-day moving average. Last time that did happen was pretty much on November the 10th. But you can kind of see a good indication, October the 23rd to October the 27th, what that does typically mean. So for instance, on October the 24th, this is where you started to see a lot of good momentum. This 10-day moving average, so that white line right here, is kind of a good indicator of momentum. So the fact that it did close above that shows that we could see a very nice push higher. 50-day moving average, I think that might be a little bit out of reach for Friday at least, but given the circumstances in the broader market, and if we actually do legitimately get a 25 basis point cut, that could be a realistic target from there. But given the circumstances right now, I do feel that we should be able to have a very nice run to at least that $1.40 to $1.50 range. And that would be a pretty good return on investment in among itself. Plus, on a side note, looking right over here at the market position, you see a lot more willing buyers. And it's all closer to kind of where the stock price is. Sometimes you see some stocks kind of load up on the bottom end, just adding good support levels, but that's rather hollow. So there is a lot of current and active willing buyers. So that as well is something to take note of, meaning on the technicals, it's ready to kind of move higher as well. So there's a lot of good reasons to be bullish on the stock right now. A couple key points though, with it at 113, it was able to successfully close above this R1. So at least in the short term, so $1.17 and then $1.25 is going to be kind of the support levels. If it is able to get above that $1.25, then realistically you'll see a nice jump to about that $1.46. So like I said, it's not too far-fetched to assume that you could see a nice technical breakout. Market's very hyped up right now, so we're seeing a lot of stocks just recover. But with rate cuts coming down the pipeline, potentially, people's appetite for risk is increasing. So I think a lot of people will be really looking at this stock. So just wanted to kind of give you some good reasons to kind of add this to your watch list. Potentially buy the dip, average down, or whatever else. But yeah, I do feel like big things will be coming. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Do you believe that this stock is a squeeze play, or is it just more of a momentum play? I do see a lot of individuals calling for a short squeeze coming. So potentially, again, given the circumstances, it could be on the table. One thing to take note of though is through IBKR, it looks like about the cost to borrow is 3.79. So it's not significantly kind of the best. Plus, you do have more than 10 million shares available. So some of this data does really signal that a squeeze is possible, but not a kind of mother of all short squeeze, what a lot of individuals love to assume. So I don't think like $1,000 is on the table. I've seen some people kind of cite that, and that's a little bit far-fetched for me, but you never know. You could see a nice push to at least that $1.50 to potentially that maybe $1.80 best case scenario. But what do I know? Let me know your general thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely take the time, pop over there. I do have a Black Friday deal, so I lowered a lot of the tiers. So yeah, definitely worthwhile to kind of pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.